So, can you? So somebody wants us to do a post-gear video on what worked, etc. Yes, I'm going to go through all.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to go through all the stuff that worked and and just show you how to pack, how we pack the packs, all that.
We'll show you what we had for winter and then what we sent back, and then
And this person asked, what did you use for filming, storage, movie making, and charging electronics? And I can do a little bit more on that too. But
I used just Christy.
I used my phone, which is a Samsung 7. It's an old phone. We love it. And I used the KindMaster app, which is an editing app, and that's what I used. I have an SD card in there because your space gets full, so I would have to move everything over to that SD card. What I would do is I would make videos. Some people make them every day. I would make them from one resupply to the next, so it'd be like 4-day gap there is kind of what I did. I wanted to kind of take people on a journey kind of with us. So I would film as we started out. If we're out for 4 days, I would do a little bit of filming each day. And at night, the KindMaster can work on the airplane mode, so I could edit on the phone. I learned to do that at some point along the way, and I'd edit a little bit. And then when I'd get to town, I could finish editing, render it, and then you have to download it to YouTube. And
Christy was always leaving the group and going to look for a library.
Because sometimes, I'm telling you, it took forever to... Somebody asked that. How was it loading to YouTube? It took a long time to load to YouTube. I sometimes would set that phone somewhere overnight, and it would take all night for it to load to YouTube. You just didn't have good service sometimes for that. But I was able to get it to do it. And then I had an Anchor. We all had an Anchor
We all carried an Anchor
charger for our phones. I did not have a problem, but when I'm using my phone... As I'm hiking, I have it on airplane mode and I have everything shut off. You know, all of the running apps, there's a way of saving your battery, doing all this stuff you'd have to learn about your phone. And it still allowed you to do videos and pictures like that. But I wasn't looking up services. You're trying to conserve your battery, and then we have the Anchor charging it too.
I was the backup Anchor, but we never really needed it, maybe a couple of times.
And that Anchor worked fine.
It worked great.
Any issues with battery? Okay, I talked about that. What kind of shoes did you wear? So I wore Hoka Mafate, M-A-F-A-T-E. I'll show you when we do our gear review. I've been wearing those for a long time, the Hoka brand. Annette
I wore Ultra Lone Peaks.
And then I had the Hoka Speedgoat 3.
But Lynn started in
Adidas.
And then switched.
And that was a good choice.
Yeah. How often did you slack pack? The first half of the trail, we slack packed about 38 miles.
Yeah, not very much.
We did not slack pack at all. We only slack packed when people offered it to us. And then we get halfway, and we had 3 people offer to slack pack us in a row, and we slack packed almost all of Maryland. Of course, Maryland was the easiest... state.
It was.
So,
It was still
but
fun.
it didn't matter
And
because
we
our bodies.
slack-packed it. Yeah,
we
it was good.
pretty much had 3 people in a row slack pack us. So we did that, and then we had. But then we didn't pack a whole bunch. Remember, Dan Quinn and Barry slack packed us after Kathy and those guys.
A little bit of New York, New Jersey. You guys got to.
Yeah. And then
I slack packed.
right, and then we did some in the whites. We did, and and that was a time where we set it up with the hostel because they just kind of do that there. But then that was about it.
Yeah,
really,
wasn't really that many.
We
miles.
didn't. We liked having our pack. I mean, my pack was light enough; it didn't bother me. But when we had an opportunity, we sure went for it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
What was the toughest part of the trail? Like, for example, bugs, weather, etc. Did you ever have a scare? I think we answered those.
Yeah, I think we have too.
At the beginning. Thoughts on your Sea to Summit ponchos? Did they work? Were they light and flap around? Did you ever use it as a tarp shelter?
I loved it. I thought it worked great.
They work. They are super light. We would, if it got really windy, we would tuck them in. Like I would tuck them in the back of, their pack. And then, it worked well.
We love them.
Well, I loved it.
And it would flap around if you didn't tuck it in the really high wind. But for the most part, loved them. And we never did use them as a tarp, like a shelter.
No.
We had our tents and stuff.
Yeah, you can, if you're on it, you could throw them on the ground and stretch out on them or whatever. If you
This person asked, did you ever get info on the mean man who didn't offer you a drink? No.
No.
we're
Do
past
any
that.
of-
We let that go.
Do any of you suffer from arthritis? And if so, do you deal with it? How do you deal with it when hiking or sleeping on the ground?
I think Christy and I, our hips would hurt, but then we bought those new pads. I got
Yeah.
the same type, that Thermarest pad, and my hips were fine.
And I don't really have arthritis other than in my big toe joints have arthritis, and those are a little bit painful. But the more I move them and stretch them and do my exercises and take care of it, I take some IVs, I'm good. I'm pretty good.
My thumbs
And
have it.
So-
but,
I felt really good out there.
The rain gear that we used to keep us dry were basically our ponchos. You know what our thing is about rain gear is you're never going to be totally dry. So forget about that. If you wear Gore-Tex hardcore rain gear, you sweat like a pig on the inside.
Yeah.
So you're soaking wet with sweat. So you just get wet.
Right, and that's why in the cold, just make sure that you have your
Dry clothes.
dry clothes in a dry
Yeah.
bag, and that you can get your wet clothes off and get those dry clothes on, and make that switch, and always
stay
have
dry.
dry clothes.
And really, the
Yeah.
the poncho helped, but our thing was just to keep our packs dry because it helped
Yeah.
keep our
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
dry.
yeah,
And I'll show you what we did with that too.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so let's see. Did you experience? Was the AT harder or easier than you expected?
Harder.
100 times harder than we thought.
yeah,
Harder. I think we were. I think we suffered a little bit from our Coloradoism because we hike in Colorado, and we've done a bunch of 14ers, and we've done a bunch of backpack trips in high mountains,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
we hiked the Colorado, all of that stuff, and I think the altitude. You never lose your breath on the Appalachian
No.
Trail.
No.
You're never like at altitude going.
No.
But the constant up and down and up and down and up and down, and just the ruggedness of the trail
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up, straight down.
wears on you, definitely.
Yep.
It's way, I had no idea.
I
It was like
didn't
that.
either.
And
I'm glad no one told
Never.
me.
Not one easy day.
No.
The easiest day we had was the 10 miles before Katahdin.
Yeah,
6
and-
months, 8 days in.
Yes.
All right, moving on here. All right. Did you experience an AT withdrawal after going back to regular life? I miss the trail.
I miss the trail.
I miss it every day, actually.
Yeah.
I miss it, but you're also intentionally moving on.
Yep.
At the same time, you're intentionally doing things so that you are moving forward.
Yep.
Um,
I don't miss.
I don't feel like I went into a depression.
No.
But when you're doing something that intense for that amount of time, and it takes so much focus, when you just pluck yourself out of it, then it's like, oh, it's done.
Yeah. And I don't know if I miss the trail as much as I just miss living that feral life. I love being out there. I could just live out in the woods, and
Yeah.
hike like that all the time.
That was fun.
All right, let's see. How much did you spend per person on the through hike? Was it more or less than expected?
I think it's about what I expected. I think I would say, because by myself, I probably spent $850 to almost $1,000 a month, and that was plenty, and that's what I thought.
And we read that to just plan for $1,000 a month.
And that's about right.
And when I look back, I was trying to look back at my credit card there. I mean, I was like around 800, but I bought my shoes ahead of time, and they had my mom send them. So 5 pairs of shoes was a chunk of money, but I had already purchased
Yeah,
those.
it depends on what you count.
Yeah.
As, just what you're spending on a trailer,
Yeah.
what it costs you.
So I would say about 800 to 1,000 planned
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
And you could go cheaper because you could not go in those hostels or stay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could,
Yeah,
but
you
we
could-
wanted to do those
I could
things.
have. Oh yeah, it could
you
have been
could
cheaper.
you could not stay in hostels, and you could also not eat out, but
Well,
that you'd be a.
you're pretty hungry.
You'd
It'd be hard to
pretty
not
hungry.
eat out when you got to town. That'd
But
be
if you
really
didn't have
hard.
money, I mean, that's what you do when you don't have money. You make those hard choices, right?
All right, so this one says, do you know of a safe way to get the word out that a single woman or man is looking for a hiking partner? I don't know the safest way. I know there's a lot of groups, like the women's group, Appalachian Trail group, and some of those groups, there's people that are looking for partners and stuff like that. But, I mean, I don't know how to...
I think if you hook in with like the Women's Appalachian Trail group, and you follow it
Yeah.
for a while, that you would start to know people through their posts, and you could make a connect. You start to feel like you know people.
Yeah.
and you might be able to make a connection.
Or even in your own hometown, there's usually groups where you can maybe go out and hike. I have to get a feel for somebody. I mean, I would probably start solo and see if you connect with somebody on the trail or something, or in your own hometown where you can go out and hike and really get to know somebody and see if there's somebody there. But how many 0 days did you take? Now, I tried to count them. I went back and tried to count them up.
I didn't, but...
How many do you think we took?
15?
Total?
Total? To 18? Maybe 18.
28.
28? Oh.
Almost a month. But... there were times at the beginning, like before Damascus, we took like 11. Oh. That's like before the first...
Part of that was weather.
500 miles, and part of it was weather. We were forced to kind of take 2 zeros here and there. And then it got less. But we would start out doing one a week at the beginning, but then we did more than that because of weather. And then at the end, we started doing like 2 every month. And we started doing more Neros. So it did dwindle down. But, I mean, over a 6-month period, we took, I don't know.
12. Over 6 months, 9
Just think, we hiked the trail in like 5 months when you take those zeros out of there.
If you did.
Okay, did you notice more older hikers than young? No.
No.
Depends on what you mean, how old you have to be older. Like Lynn is older.
And I'm young.
And I'm younger.
There's this group of like just out of high school and maybe just out of college, and then there seems to be a big group of retirees. Not a lot in the middle. Not a lot.
But a lot of, I mean, there's like...
It's understandable.
Retired military people who are more in their 40s than their 60s. You know, and then, you know, you see a lot of section hikers that are older. For sure.
But boy, a lot of young people are out there too.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, lots of people.
We met several, we knew people. I mean, we had Halo and Q, and those guys were our age.
Oh, yeah.
And this question is, did you encounter many solo hikers? Yeah. A lot of people started solo.
And then they connect with
people. And they'd connect with people, or they'd hike by themselves, and then you connect with people at night at the shelters.
Kind of go back and forth. And some people really seem devoted to solo hiking. Like, they really like it.
And the bad parts of the Appalachian Trail, what are bad parts of the, you know, I don't think, we kind of answered that already, but
bad, like hard?
Just when it...
Like rough
no
characters, bad, hostile, sketchy situations.
Not much.
No, I think the trail is awesome, and there's awesome people on the trail.
Yeah, and the people who support the trail are really awesome.
Did you feel prepared enough, both gear and physically? Would you do anything differently? I felt totally prepared. But we've hiked before.
Yeah.
So since we've backpacked and long distance, we did the Colorado Trail, we've done some long hikes, and we've been I've been backpacking for 30 years, Annette and I. I mean, so I kind of knew what to expect, so I felt really good about how we did it all. Yeah. We talk about that. Like, it was like this perfect...
It was. I
it
mean,
was like
equipment-wise, it's like we had just really gotten to the exact right point, because we got our pack weight down and everything.
It was just great.
It was perfect.
It was great.
It worked out great.
Yeah, I mean, some people, we're traveling and we're doing stuff, so we're in pretty good shape. You know, I think you could really focus on the physical training and, like, train like you're running some marathons in that year ahead, like, you know, train for 3 marathons or something and really get yourself in that kind of shape. Certainly couldn't hurt. We didn't do that, but we were in good shape.
Twice a day, every day.
Yeah, we were in good shape, so that...
and we've been hiking for years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we just said, hey, let's go get in shape. We were in shape.
Right. And we did take it slow in Georgia, and we did the gradual thing. But, yeah, I think the more... To be kind to your body, the better shape you're in, the better off you are.
So this person says, I want to do the trail, but have physical limitations. How tough is the trail for someone like me? Do you need to be in decent shape to walk on the trail? I don't know your limitations, but I would say you have to be in decent shape to walk on the trail. Now, I think people do amazing things, so I would say that's something that each person has to figure out. But it is a really difficult trail.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, like, the day that you go up that, like, Webster Cliffs and stuff, like, where you're climbing up that rock face and doing all that, there are some really strenuous, physically difficult sections.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. You'd have to be in shape. I would say to anybody, if I gave advice to anybody, I would say get a good base of being in shape.
Yeah,
get a base.
right. Yeah.
Be out doing stuff,
that,
and before you step on that trail.
Right, and know that you can push yourself, and know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is called a footpath, but they're pushing the limits on that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, by calling it a footpath, it's
sometimes
it's whole body exercise out there a lot of the
it's
time.
Tough. So. Why didn't you wear your Fitbit on the trail? Somebody asked me that. I didn't. I said that in that last video because you have to charge it every 5 days. I didn't feel like dealing with it, basically. I wanted to make sure I had battery power for my videos.
And I don't wear one because you have to tap it to tell the time. And I was always like, I can't do that. I'll just wear a watch.
Did you send resupply boxes or bounce boxes ahead, or buy everything on the trail? We bought everything on the trail.
Everything on the trail, and we're glad we did it.
Yes.
With, like, no stress.
We didn't have to be anywhere, any place, or we did that on the Colorado Trail, and we were glad to be totally free and just figure it out as we go day to day.
And you could buy different things or see different things and try different foods and
except we had our shoes sitting in Colorado, and our people, my mom and Lynn's sister sent them when we asked for them.
And if you had special dietary needs like vegans and different things, gluten-free, you might have to send boxes ahead. If you have really specific, because you would have a hard time in Dollar General.
We supplied Dollar General.
That was our best grocery store.
Or a convenience store, You're like, okay, I'm going to have tuna or nuts.
Yeah. So this person said, did you bring microspikes?
Yes.
We did.
Due to starting in February. We did, but we didn't really use them.
No.
Yeah.
Because the trail was rocky, like in the Smokies there was ice, but the rocks were sticking up, so the spikes didn't really work on them. We just stepped on the rocks in between the ice, and it worked fine.
And now, some of the people...
Each year's different.
Yeah. You might get in a situation where those would be great. Like, it sounds like some of the people, like when they crossed the Roan Mountains, I mean, they were talking about using their spikes on that because it was so snowy and icy. So it would just depend on your situation.
So this person asked how we prepared physically for the trail, and would you change anything about your training program? Pace, nutrition, breaks, overall. We liked everything we did.
I think
we took a break every 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And we went home to Colorado to train. We wanted to climb, because we were in Florida at the time, when we wanted to go home and climb mountains at least 6 weeks in advance. But before that, we were in shape. We bike, we walk every day. Yeah. We work out every day. So we had a base. We wanted to go climb.
Right. We have a core level of fitness just from being really active, and we maintain that throughout.
So, Annette, this is for you. Did you wear your correct toes on the entire trail? And do you still wear them?
I wore my correct toes from start to finish. Loved them. My feet felt so good, and I still wear them every day. Every day. I wore one one set for the whole 2,200 miles of trail. I can't believe it actually lasted. But then I got it started to tear between the big toe and the first toe, so I got a new set, and I am I'm wearing
I did not wear correct toes. I have a toe spacer between my first and second toe for my big toe joints, but Hoka's aren't wide enough for the correct toes, the toe box. The Ultras are, but I like my Hoka shoes, so I did not wear the connected.
And that's a key factor, because it really does,
pushes you out.
Get your feet out wide.
All right, so they want to know about your tent.
Well, I had the Nemo Hornet tent. I loved it. It lasted. We'll do something on that with the gear when we do the gear video, but it lasted the whole time. The only thing I would say is that make sure that you pull it out. The guy lines are all tight, and make sure that the underneath the the footprint.
Yeah.
The one they sent me is really too big for that tent, so just make sure it's tucked underneath the bottom of your tent, so you won't get water in your tent. But it worked great. I loved it.
And we'll go through that when we do. This person wants a gear list, so we'll definitely go through that. Let's see. What was the first gear changes during your first 2 weeks on the trail? The only thing Annette and I changed in the entire thing was we started with a Sawyer Mini water squeeze thing. Right. We changed it out to a Sawyer squeeze, regular, whatever it is.
The big one.
And we'll talk about that when we do the gear.
And I bought a pair of rain pants, which I barely used, but the few times I did, I was kind of glad I had them, so it was all right.
All right, best day on the trail, favorite section. Would you recommend section hiking or through hiking? I would definitely recommend section hiking or through hiking, whatever you want to do. I mean, I think you need to do anything.
It depends on how much time you have and how much you feel like making yourself, because when you do the through hike, you're going to be making yourself.
Yeah.
The good piece, though, we've always talked about is I can't imagine starting every year or whatever, doing a section. Once you get through the big workout and you get in shape, then you don't have to go through it again. You just
do it
keep going.
one time if you can.
Right, you
I think
Because it's hard.
for me, that was
It's hard.
the best way.
Yeah.
You
to
get
do
on
it.
a roll. You definitely get
Yeah.
on a roll,
Yeah.
and you get determined where you're like, oh, I am going to make this thing come hell or high water.
But the best day of the trail for me was hiking up to the top of that Katahdin.
Katahdin.
and
That's probably
touching
yeah.
that brown sign.
Yeah.
That's got to be almost everyone's. Besides that, it's that huge emotional moment. It is a really fun day hike.
It is.
You're
And
scrambling up and have great views.
Yeah.
And it was a
It's
really
great.
fun day hike.
And even though we talked about loving the whole trail, I think one of my favorite parts is that 100-mile wilderness and into Katahdin, just because we had perfect weather. It was cooling off.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. The loons were... There was something about that part of the trail for us.
Yeah. I
Well,
really liked it.
It was
Gosh, there was
great.
so much that we loved.
Yeah.
Parts of Virginia, all of it. I mean,
Loved it.
we liked it from
Loved
start
it all.
to finish. We'd finish the state and we'd be like, oh, we
Loved
loved
it.
that. That was great.
That was fun.
So how much did your packs weigh?
25 pounds or under,
Yep.
with water and food.
Our goal was 25,
We
and
did
most
it.
of the time, I think we were around 22, I would
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And less. What surprised you most about hiking the Appalachian Trail? I think how hard it was.
How hard it was, for sure.
We were like, man,
I had no idea.
what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah.
What piece of gear was a must-have on the AT? What piece of gear wasn't needed or used? I used just about every single thing I had.
I did too.
I carried Center for Disease Control tick tweezers and never used them.
But I'm so glad we never had to use
They
those.
didn't weigh very much.
I
But
know.
everything, I think we pretty much used all
I
of
think-
our gear. We
This
didn't-
this right here is my favorite piece of gear. I wore it to show you. This is my Patagonia Capilene base layer, and my favorite piece of gear. And I slept in it because you can go like this, covers you up. It's my favorite piece of warm gear, and I slept in it because sometimes if you sleep in a hat, it comes off. And so this is a great thing. This is one of my favorite pieces of gear that I had on the trail.
Yeah, and I think beyond having favorites, I mean, I like wearing zip-off pants. I know that, I like being able to have that flexibility of long pants or shorts. Plus, they dry super fast, so when it's raining, I don't try and cover my legs even. I just get wet.
Yeah.
Let them get wet, they dry right away.
Yeah.
And if they're a little damp when you get to camp, you leave them on as you're doing all your stuff, and they dry
dry,
on you.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say zip-off pants for me are a favorite item.
I loved my puffy coat because if I just got chilled, because I get cold easier, and if I just got a little cold, I could just put that on and be warm.
And
I
it's
just
just
felt
surprising.
good.
It's
I just felt
nurturing.
good.
It's
Surprising
nurturing.
she doesn't have on now, although she does have it with her. So
I do have
she
it
might
with me
put it
still,
on
so here it
sometime.
is. It's
All right.
here, the puffy.
So what is the brand of your backpack? So we all three have the same backpack.
Yep.
It's a ULA Circuit.
Yeah.
And we are going to show you that in our gear list.
Yeah.
But we all have the same one, just different colors.
Right.
All right. What was the weirdest thing that happened to you during your through hike?
The weirdest thing.
I
It's
think
one
the
thing
weirdest
that was
thing.
really weird would be when we were hiking along and people would say, "Hey, wait, are you the Wonder Woman?" And it was weird because we'd be like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I mean, it was so funny
Yeah, that's-
because we're just not expecting that. Or
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of people in the world, and hardly any of them watch our videos. And the fact that some people would actually recognize you and come up and say something was really amazing.
fun.
It was super fun.
All right. So how did you get from Katahdin to the airport? Is there a shuttle? So now Katahdin is way out there.
Yeah.
It's remote and it's out there, and some people already had people getting them and rides, and we did not. We were standing out there going, "Oh my gosh, we might not ever get back."
Yeah.
But this ranger drove us up to this gate further down, and this guy picked us up in a van, and we got to Millinocket. And from Millinocket, I think it was the Appalachian Trail Lodge. They had a shuttle.
It was kind of like assisted
Yeah.
hitchhiking. They were trying to find us right there, like, hey, these
Yeah.
guys need a ride.
So they shuttled us to a bus station. And then we took the bus to Boston because we wanted to go to Boston for a few days.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we went from there to the airport and
And a
went home.
lot of people got on that bus to Boston because
Yep.
Logan's probably
Yep.
cheaper than flying out of Maine. So
Yep.
it's a good system.
So it's a
was
good
easy.
system.
It was
Easy.
it works
easy.
really easy.
Once you get to Millinocket, it was easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because what was it called? The
Appalachian Lodge.
Appalachian
Trail
Lodge.
Lodge. I
Trail
think.
That was
Lodge,
easy.
yeah.
That was super easy.
So this one's asking about tents and sleeping bags. We'll get that in our gear thing. We've already talked about this. Was it different? Was it easy to remain friendly on the trail with each other? And did
Yeah.
we just want space?
Yeah,
We did great.
We don't even ever think about that.
We're really lucky because
I guess everybody
we love
else-
each other.
I guess
We have each other's back like
I
100%. Let me
know,
tell
I
you.
know.
I guess that
We
has a
do.
problem with that.
And
but
grateful
we don't
for every
really
moment
do
we
that.
have together. I mean, we were grateful for every moment we celebrated.
We have fun.
We wanted all three of us to make it. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
That was hard when Lynn had to get off the trail
Oh.
for that little bit. We were
That was hard. I did not.
But she did the right
wanna
thing.
leave.
She did.
But
She
it worked, and I
Yeah.
got back on, and
Yeah.
we'll show stretches.
how? So this person says, how physical was it? Like the climbing over rocks or trees or
It's
whatever.
very
pretty physical.
physical. It's very physical.
The hardest thing I've ever done.
Now,
Wait,
some of it wasn't as extreme as the last couple of states. The
No.
last couple of states
Yeah.
are, and Pennsylvania has some rocks where, but
Yeah.
it's
It wasn't
nothing.
that
You
bad.
hit Pennsylvania and you worry about the rock.
Really?
One piece of advice: don't listen to one thing anybody says.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they tell you Virginia's flat, it's not flat. They tell you that Pennsylvania's just going to kill you. It didn't kill me, but my feet hurt. But you're thinking, man, this is horrible. But then when you get to the whites and some of that stuff, you're just like, Pennsylvania would be a walk in the park.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
The states get progressively harder as
Yeah.
you move up.
I kept
Yeah.
saying, I'm not listening to one person. Then we ran into somebody at the Apple Pie Bakery at Delaware Water Gap, and he said, every state gets harder. And I said, I'm not listening to that man. And I sent to Annette the other day, every
guy was
state,
right.
every
He
state
was
got
right.
harder.
Yeah.
All right. How long did it take you to plan and prepare? Well, this is my thought on that. Because we've done it so much, we didn't have to do a whole lot to prepare
No.
and plan.
we
We
already-
had all of our equipment.
Yeah, we had everything.
I didn't buy any new
No.
equipment. Lynn and
I bought a
Annette bought a
tent
backpack, and
and my
Lynn
pack.
and
Yeah.
Annette. So I didn't have to do any of that. All it was making a decision. Yeah, let's go for it. And then our concerns were, I hope our feet and our bodies can hang. And so we did all these exercises on our feet and made a plan. And but then we didn't get boxes sent ahead.
No.
So we didn't plan like where we would be when. We just said, let's just take off walking. We start slow. Let's try to get up to 15 miles a day and just see if we can maintain that. And we planned from one resupply to the next. And that's what we did. We planned
Yeah.
when we were out there.
We got our little guidebooks and looked at those and just
You know,
went.
this is our thing. People, it's just kind of like you're not stuck. It's not like you make a decision to do it and you're just out there and you're trapped and out. You just go try it and you get off, or you make a solution as you're
Yeah.
out there, or you
Yeah,
you
and
just
there's
go.
dozens of places along the way that if you made a bad gear choice, you could switch it out.
Or if you hated it, you get off and stop.
Yeah, if you hate it, get off and stop. Or if you're tired, take a couple extra days.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
there's-
could even just stay in a shelter out on the trail an extra day.
Yeah.
and
People
relax.
worry about too many things, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, really, you always have flexibility. You always
You
can,
do.
make decisions on the go.
Go and I think the biggest thing is just be light with your food. Get what you need, but don't overdo it. I think people overdo it with food. You're not going to die.
We met
Yeah.
some people, some different section hikers, or people like doing a section to try it, who were carrying so much stuff, like a 45-pound pack, or where you're almost guaranteeing that you're not going to make it
Yeah.
if you do. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that people don't make it. I know they.
You're
do
okay
it
without
before,
so much food.
but take as little.
Yeah.
Have somebody else get one of those pictures of the super light hikers that take what they take, or take what we took.
Yeah.
Take exactly what we took. We did
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and we had to, because as we've gotten older, we know we can't keep doing it if we don't go lighter. So,
Yeah.
And there was nothing that I thought, wow, I really wish I would have brought this.
No.
Not one thing.
and there was a couple of times where I would just walk out with my last handful of food, but I wasn't going to die. You can go a long time without food, and there's so many places to get food.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
all right. So the other thing is, they ask if people resupplied us. No, we just planned as we bought as we went. That one has been asked. Q asked us, do you have one regret? What is your one regret? And I can't think of anything.
No.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything. I think everything happened just like it was supposed to happen. With my foot, I could have maybe gone to a different doctor, but maybe it wouldn't have worked. So I could have gotten help sooner. But actually, the way that happened, it all worked out the way it was supposed to, I believe. So. Yeah. No regrets.
And maybe that, Annette and I wanted to be with Lynn as she was doing her miles at the end, but we couldn't because we had an appointment we had to get to. But so it's not really a regret. It just didn't work out. But we would love to have done that and hung out with Terry a little bit and,
Yeah, we would have, that very end.
But I don't really have a regret. And the reason why is we, from the beginning, said we're not just about getting to the destination. We want to enjoy the whole trail. We went to trail days. We're glad we did that. We wanted to go in the little towns. Sometimes we took 0 days because we wanted to be in the little towns. Yeah. We weren't just we didn't want to be in that crazy, I got to get miles. We wanted to enjoy the trail.
Yeah, and I think we spent time with people. We met new people.
Yeah.
We stopped along the way and talked to all kinds of hikers, southbounders, other northbounders, day hikers. I feel like we had a really rich experience out there.
And this person asked what our favorite 100-mile stretch is, and how do you get to your car after you would do a 100-mile stretch? Well, I tell you, there's so many. Well, no, but they're asking if they did it.
Oh, you can always.
I would check with hostels
and shuttle drivers.
Yeah, because
there's always a way to figure out the shuttle.
Yeah, shuttles are everywhere, and every hostel. So you could plan a trip, and stay in a hostel. They will shuttle you, and then they could shuttle you back to the car. That's easy. You just have to kind of figure out what stretch you want to do and where you want to end up, and then call in those towns.
And people at hostels are a good resource because they do it all the time.
Yeah.
So
they know their areas really well.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can ask them questions and they're happy to give you information.
But I love the 100-mile wilderness. I love the Triple Crown in Virginia. I liked so much. I can't tell you, I love the Great Smokies. I loved all of it. Honestly.
Shenandoah.
The Shenandoah was fun.
Yeah.
We were just loving it.
Did you see a lot of snakes? Nothing scary. No. We saw a lot of those black snakes climb, but they didn't.
The big black snakes.
They didn't. Cool. They didn't really even creep me out, and snakes creep me out a little bit. Was it a difficult decision to start the trail, and at what point did you decide to go through it? It wasn't difficult for us. Once we said let's do it, we just said let's do it, and we feel like you don't fail either way. So at one point we said, well, if our bodies hurt or feet. At first we said, let's commit for a month and reevaluate ourselves and see how we feel.
And then we just kept going.
And we loved it and just kept on going.
Just kept going.
All right, we're almost done, you guys. We have a few more questions. Was it hard to find water? And what water system did you use? We never had a hard time with water.
And that was another bonus of doing it the time of year that we did.
Yes,
because
it was.
Connecting with people going southbound, they had a harder time because they started later. Starting early, we did not have one bit of problem with water.
One thing about the water thing, the more water you can make yourself drink, the better. So if you can stop at a water source and power drink some water along the way,
it works.
Better. We are always cameling up, just like we're going to make ourselves drink a liter of water.
And that's how we went lighter.
Yeah.
We didn't carry as much water. We would guzzle a bunch before we started in the morning. We would stop at water sources and guzzle water all day.
Yep.
And at night, we would fill our water up and we would guzzle. And we could talk more about that when we do our gear thing, about how we did that.
Yeah.
We'll address that. So this person said, do you think a 60-year-old woman can do it? How do you connect with like-minded women, and how cold was it really?
Yes.
You have two 62-year-old women who did it.
Yeah.
Lady Di was 64. There's a lot of women out there in their 60s hiking the entire trail.
Yeah.
There are. Well, yes. And
not a lot, but there's quite a few.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to hike with somebody who's exactly your age, but if you start out, you will likely meet someone on the trail. Most people find someone on the trail that they end up hiking.
Yeah.
Most or all of the trail, but they stay together the whole time. Some of the people, Cricket and Salamander, who we hiked with part of the time, they started on the first day together and stayed together the whole trek. Yeah. which
and a lot of people did that. And I think there's something kind of magical about the trail
yeah,
like that.
that
I really
part
do.
I do think is like you become a support for each other.
Yeah.
And those are really fruitful relationships.
Yeah. For a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll stay connected forever.
And how cold was it really? It was cold. It
was.
Hiking was fine. We loved hiking in the colder weather. The Great Smoky Mountains were our coldest moments, I think, and the mornings were cold when we'd get up in the morning. Then as you got going, you would be fine.
You could warm up.
And then early on in February, when we got to Franklin, we took a couple zero days because of cold.
Yeah.
When you are
In the
hiking
teens.
in the winter and it's the short daylight, right? Then not that many daylight hours. When you get to camp, you are going to do your water, get all your stuff ready for the next day, set up your tent if you're doing a tent or staying in the shelter. We stayed in a lot of shelters that time, almost every night. And get all your stuff ready because you're going to be spending time in your sleeping bag a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right? A lot.
It was tough.
And
You'd be crawling in that bag at 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
but
there.
that's what you do to stay warm.
Till 6 the next morning.
Right.
But you'd be warm.
But so you have your dry sleeping clothes on.
Yeah.
And you
and
have
a Kindle.
and your Kindle or whatever, and you can talk
If
to
you can
everybody
read
or whatever.
and talk.
And then, but keep in mind, so from the time you come into camp, you're going to get all your stuff done, then you're going to put your dry clothes on, then you're going to get in bed. So you're warm. Usually you're not cold in your sleeping bag. I was never cold. But then when you get up in the morning and you've got to do all your stuff, and it's cold. It's like
cold.
15 degrees or 17
And you're
degrees.
changing into your hiking clothes, and your hands are cold.
And they might be wet.
Toes
and
are cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get going. You got to eat, and you got to deal with the water situation and eating and doing that stuff. And then once you get moving and the sun starts coming out or whatever, you
Or
warm up.
even just once you're moving, once you're walking.
Yeah.
When you're walking, you're fine. You're generating a lot of heat.
But you do have to kind of suck it up and just get through that too. I did buy a few of those little hand warmers because I got so cold in the Smokies. I used those a couple
that's
mornings
true.
and on my feet. on
I
my
had
toes.
I had kind of one whiny moment there in the Smokies where oh my God, my hands were just frozen, but
All right.
it didn't help.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right. So have you fully recovered physically?
Absolutely,
Yes.
I feel great.
Yeah.
Feel great.
Yep.
I feel my feet feel really strong, like I have muscles in my feet.
Yeah, my feet feel really, really good.
I still have
Really
aches and
strong.
pains, but okay. So this person asks, on rainy days, did you just let your feet get wet, or did you have a way of keeping them dry?
They
Get
just got
wet.
Soaking wet,
Sopped.
Get wet, just
sopping
they're
wet.
going to be wet.
You would take your shoes
Get
off,
used to it.
your socks off, and then the next morning
Just
you'd
put
put
'em
those
back
big old
on.
wet shoes back on.
Yeah.
And sometimes they dry. If you had a dry, sunny day, after a while, your body heat would dry them, and you'd say,
Yeah.
"Oh, my shoes are dry now," but sop them wet.
Yeah.
What were your start and finish dates? We started February 21st and ended
December? August 30th.
August
Oh my
30th.
gosh, December, sorry.
August 30th. 6
August
months,
30th.
9
Yeah.
days.
Oh, yeah.
What are your favorite tips or favorite gear for staying warm? Okay, so we talked about that.
Yeah.
Are you going to walk the AT again?
The whole thing?
Look at me, people. Look at me.
No.
No
no, no, no.
Never.
And it's fun and
Maybe
it's
a
cool.
little section if I was close to it.
Or
but
go
not,
back and do some trail magic and be part of that. And certainly, I mean,
Yeah,
we
that's
love to
fine.
hike. It's hard to keep us from hiking, but
Right.
I don't feel like I need to do it again.
No, 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 no. No, this is the thing. Greatest experience of my life.
Yeah.
Epic adventure of a lifetime.
Super
Loved
fun.
every single
Yeah.
minute of it. Grateful. So glad I did. It was the best thing ever.
Maybe-
We'll never do a through hike of the Appalachian
Right.
Trail again.
If you
I would explore a little bit of pieces of it.
Yeah.
If you're a hiker, if you're one of the people who's actually watching this, then you're a hiker. And you understand that part of the reason it's great is because it's so hard.
So hard.
But it is so hard
It's
that
so
you're
hard.
thinking,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know if I want to put my knees through that again.
Now, this is the other thing, is I'm not somebody who wants to repeat something over and over once I've done
Yeah,
it
we
either.
don't,
I'm
we
just
don't
not-
have that piece.
We
I
wouldn't
would
have
go
the
do
same
a different hike.
experience, and it wouldn't, yeah.
If I wanted to hike a long hike, I would go do a different
Yeah,
one.
we'd
I
go
wouldn't the same
do
one.
the PCT, the CGT, whatever, but we wouldn't immediately turn around and re-hike the trail. Even we love it.
No. No. What were your trail names? Well,
Well, I was lost and found.
I started out as poem because I was
Because I
reading
did.
poems at the shelters at night, but then once people started watching the videos once we started making the videos with Pesky. Then people started calling me Pesky, so I ended up kind of being pesky, even though we know that I have none of those qualities.
And I was up and at 'em.
And Christy is totally up and at 'em.
Yep.
And Lynn
And I
lost it.
really do lose stuff all
It's
the
not
time,
so
but
much
then
that
I do find
It's
it.
not so much that she loses stuff, we all lose stuff, but she makes such a big deal out of it. Like, oh my God.
I do not.
Then she finds it.
That's
Then I
it.
find
My glove's gone. It's gone.
It's gone
It's gone.
forever.
It's gone
I'm
forever.
And then that night, we know it's
I'm
coming.
gonna have
Oh, I
one
found
frozen hand.
it. One time, Lynn said, "My glove's gone. It's gone."
We're like, it's
Then
somewhere.
she's
No.
went over into the bushes to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, and I hear it was in her pants.
in her underwear or something.
All right. It says, "Is it much of a mental struggle as physical?" I would say more of a physical
More.
for me.
Oh, physical?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
think
I
it's
don't-
more mental?
On those hot and humid days, you're working it,
Physical. Physical, yes.
baby. You're
Yeah.
working it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the mental is tough, but
But
when
mental's a big part of it.
yeah, but I was so motivated. I
Yeah.
never lost motivation, so it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, if you've already decided that you're going to do it, no, you
Mhm.
know, then
I would take a mental struggle as, oh my God, I want to quit, but I don't. But I never did that.
Mm-hmm.
But so I loved it. I really enjoyed the trail, so I didn't struggle mentally hardly at all.
And
But physically,
and we come from a very, you know, in some ways because we didn't have a time constraint, you know, and I think that can burden some people. We didn't have that, so we were just like, well, you know.
this person, we answered some of these. What would we do differently? And will you meet Craig Maines, Hawk Maines, when he finishes in December? We would if we would be in Georgia, but we're not going to be in Georgia.
He'll probably turn around and hike it again the
I
other
know,
way.
so we
He'll
maybe
do
we'll
a
yo-yo, see us
yo.
But we
yo.
did get to meet him
We did.
in the
met him in
100-mile
Maine,
wilderness
in the 100-mile wilderness,
as he
yeah.
was starting his
Yeah.
second round. So that was fun meeting him.
Mhm.
So.
That was.
Anyway, so that, you guys, we went through like 5 pages of questions right there. Pretty awesome
Oh, that's a
questions.
lot.
But we're going to do a stretching video and a gear video.
Yeah, and imagine if we had tried to put all that together. But okay, that's
All right.
That'll give us
everything
something else
you
to do.
ever wanted to know about
The
us
Appalachian
hiking the
Trail. That's
Appalachian
it.
Trail.
Ooh, we had a grand old time.
Yes,
The
we
feral
did.
cats. We were the feral
great.
cats.
It was fun. That
It was
part
really
fun.
I'll tell you a story about Lynn being a feral cat to end with.
Okay.
We were sitting in Vermont or New Hampshire, one of those, and Lynn's sitting on a rock and she's eating a Slim Jim. And she has a little piece like that and it drops and it rolls, hits a rock, and she picked it up like, she said, "Oh no." Right off the ground. It's like a feral cat. Quick!
That's right.
All right, later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Boy, that was a lot of
fun.
questions.
That was.
I'm hungry. I worked up an appetite. You guys want to eat some dinner?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Okay, so we have urban garlic, sweet and spicy, or lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper.
What? Tuna?
Yeah, I kind of want
That's
the
what
lemon
we're
pepper.
having for dinner?
Yeah.
I want lemon pepper.
No, I want lemon pepper.
Oh no.
I want
don't.
it.
I want it. It's mine.
Come on.
Oh man!
Took us both out at
Wow.
once.
There you go, girls.
Oh,
Jeez,
man.
All right.
Sweet and
Garlic.
spicy again.
Oh,
Dang.
yeah.
Oh, well.